We'll record the session as well so we can send it out to anyone that might have missed it. And it is 1 o'clock. We'll just jump straight in so we can send out the recording to anybody that might have not been able to join us this afternoon. So hi there, I'm Tatiana from Manage Me. We are your back office experts for everything property management. And today we're here to refresh ourselves with all the things that we woulda, shoulda, could be doing to stay ahead of the game and how we can simplify our everyday operation. Now, our guest speakers include myself. We've also got the sales director for Manage Me, Mike Foster. We've got Drake Farmer, sales director for Renty, and Will Alexander, CEO of Renty, all in that order. Now, we've each got 5 minutes to share our points. You will get a copy of the slides at the end. And you'll also have the opportunity to book a free one-on-one session with either of us for anyone that might be interested in learning more. So just look out for the email after this session. So here we go. My background is in sales and marketing. So I like to focus on the key milestones of the sales process and keeping the pipeline full of new prospects. But as we get busier, you might find this too, we tend to experience peaks and troughs of new business. And that's because we're so focused on those new clients that we tend to forget all the smaller tasks that support repeat business, referrals, and driving that consistent level of inquiry. So this is where your CRM, deal management, and basic automation can help. And as business owners, we're not all in the front line. So how do we know that our teams are each doing the same thing to make the most out of each prospect and inquiry? Well, we can start by putting ourselves into the customer's shoes and consider what we would want from the experience. So we can work backwards from there and create a sales process. And this should cover all the details and points of contact that we know the customer needs to make an informed choice. And by now, we should generally understand what our prospects' main objections are going to be. So we can create content and dialogue that overcomes those excuses in that very first meeting. This will make it a lot easier for the customer to buy into the value of your services with a full awareness of how you manage each objection, like your fees, and why they wouldn't just go and choose a cheaper service or do it themselves. And my experience basically leads to the same conclusion that if we deal with these objections head on, rather than waiting for them to come up, we can manage each inquiry with that same sort of formula, and it will drastically improve our conversion rate. Now, there's plenty of CRMs that we can use to manage these pipelines. I'm just going to share my screen so you can have a look at one that we've got here. Here's an example. We're using ActiveCampaign, and you can see we've got these different sales pipelines. So this dashboard allows us to see at a glance what is in the pipeline for new business at each stage. So new inquiry, first call made, appointment booked, presentation made, etc. Sort of keeps everything nice and organized. And you can see the value of each deal here as well. This is going to help you start to record and calculate your conversion, why these prospects perhaps were won or lost, and decipher where in the process you might be losing the prospect or what is actually working to convert them, so you can do more of that. Having a visual pipe like this helps you identify areas in your process that could use improvement, and use these stages to create clever automation and nurture campaigns so you can make the most of your time. So for example, I could move a contact from new inquiry to appointment booked. And if I were to do that, I might have an email template that goes out to that prospect that introduces them, welcomes them, introduces the members of your business, outlines the key differences that set you apart from your competitors. And if I moved them from inquiry to perhaps lost, then they would join into like a nurture campaign. So they'll get content and emails that helps educate them and bring more value and understanding to what you do as a business and how you help your clients. because if we're always prospecting, then the number of people that we need to nurture is just going to keep growing. So this email automation is really going to help you manage consistent points of contact. And with less admin for your BDM, they've got more time to have meaningful engagements with prospects and clients. And we'll also be able to see from the CRM the contact activity. So it will alert you when that contact is potentially ready to engage with you again, because no today does not necessarily mean no tomorrow. They just might need a bit more information. And as a business owner, you'll be able to see very clearly how many new prospects are coming and being introduced to your business and how they're being managed. So you'll be able to support your team better when you've got this kind of clarity on the sales process. Now I'm just going to jump back into the slides. Alrighty. Now, how can we manage consistency with new inquiry as opposed to those sort of peaks and troughs? Firstly, it's good to understand what options you've got available to you to generate inquiry and always measure their performance. Everyone wants to sell you something. You've got Google Ads, social media, direct marketing. There's lots of options. For residential, we like to use Property Guru or Property Smarts, and this helps us effectively identify rental properties for our clients. So we'll find the associated ownership, and then we'll use open source databases to find their contact information. And this can be then fed straight to your BDM to make first contact. It's a really good way to concentrate your efforts in one suburb at a time for greater effect. Some people like to use TradeMe or realestate.co in a similar way, but by the time you see a property listed for rent, they're sort of already in the middle of the process, so it might be slower to convert. And what I've found is that not many people are actually using snail mail or a personalized approach anymore. So this could be a really great way to engage new prospects. You could personalize a letter, post, or hand deliver it to the landlord's property and emphasize your hands-on approach and your personalized service. Direct marketing like this or a phone call is always going to have a higher conversion rate. So if you've been thinking about growing your management and you want to get an overall view of what's happening in the front line of your business, you can consider what we've discussed here today and book a one-on-one meeting with me after this session. But next, I'd like to introduce you to Mike Foster. So Mike lived in London for 15 years, where he worked for a large corporate bank before he entered the property management industry in New Zealand. And as you can imagine, banking is very procedure-based. So this has led him to being relentless on procedure, and I know this firsthand, working with him every day. So we'll pass it over to you now, Mike.
It's all fun, isn't it, Tariana? Yeah, cool, thank you. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, guys. I'm going to talk to you about procedures, how they benefit your business, and some of the ways that they can be implemented. Okay, so procedures, probably not the most exciting topic we're going to discuss this afternoon, but they're exciting to us here at Manage Me. I think they help structure businesses for the better. An upside too is that they're also relatively easy to implement and provide good bang for buck. In fact, implementing procedures and quality systems can add value to your business by helping you reduce risk and by providing a solid foundation. Okay, most businesses are broken down into roles, responsibilities, and the tasks within these. To effectively manage each of these roles, we need to know what, when, and how these tasks are done, and be able to measure the performance or completion of each task. This is where procedures can actually really help. Okay, so in property management in particular, procedures are fundamental as they create a clear expectation on how things should be done. Not my way is the better way, which I think we've all probably heard. This in turn ensures consistency in delivery, reduces key staff risk, and the number of errors made. The rationale here is that staff following the same procedures deliver consistent outputs. This is going to make it easier to assess performance, allowing for meaningful KPIs and to be set up and improved management decisions to be made. Cool. With up-to-date procedures in place, the risk of knowledge loss is also lessened. Okay, so this is huge, obviously, in small businesses, which can often find they've got a big hole in their staffing when the vital administrator leaves, decides to head to the golf course, etc. And procedures that are followed should also mean a reduction in the number of errors as the process is transparent and obviously known to work. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples where procedures would be useful in most people's businesses. I think the first one is onboarding staff. Okay, so it's clearly an area that benefits from having quality procedures in place. Takes current employees away from BAU tasks. It's very time consuming and it's expensive. Well-written, detailed procedures can actually provide guidance to new staff, which is in a standardized manner, help reduce the time spent training, and ensure people know what they have to do, or at least they're on the same page. Happy teams and all that. Basically, the whole process can be made quicker and easier. Okay, meeting regulatory requirements is another area that needs to be procedure driven. Property management, as we all know, is facing increased legislation changes and the associated compliance. It's essential that your team works in a coordinated way when meeting these obligations. Having procedures in place that cover off these requirements help allow business owners to sleep at night in the knowledge that their obligations are really being met. Okay, so we've talked about some of the benefits. Let's talk about some of the ways in which you can capture your procedures. Okay, so think of procedures as your operating manual. They're like a detailed checklist for each course of action. They don't actually need to be complex. They can be really simple. Checklist is fine in some instances, but you can be more as complex as you like, and we can use task management systems such as Asana or Rike. What's really, I guess, important off the back of this is that they're easily accessible to the people that need them and kept up to date when things change, which is pretty often, as we all know. Okay, at Manage Me, I can give you a few examples of what we use. So we've got Tetra, which is our knowledge base, pretty basic, and we'll show you this on screen shortly. We use task management software, which is Rike, pretty similar to Asana if anybody uses that. But this allows us to track progress on actual tasks, track time against these, and report to clients. So pretty useful stuff. We also use Google Drive extensively, which I'm sure a lot of you do. It's good to use live documents and obviously easy to share and see who is doing what. So this, what we've got on screen now, sorry, is procedure, an example of how we create procedures. I think the way I like to start is by capturing an overview, so capturing a process flow diagram of the high-level task, which you'll see down below. Okay, so in this, it's a swim lane diagram, pretty straightforward. You can see that it's got the parties involved or the systems involved, depending on what you're tracking. In this case, we're looking at receipting. So something most of us do every day in our business, receiving rents in. And you can see that you've got the bank. Obviously, we get statements and transactions from the bank. You've got us, Manage Me, our staff, and what the tasks we complete, what comes out of the property tree system, and of course, the property management company, if there's any interactions with them, and the deliverables out of this. I think once you've sort of got this high level view, it becomes much easier then sort of break it down into parts and create procedures. Off the back of that, you can always link back to this this top level. Our procedures then usually start with an overview of the task. So this provides the user of the procedure with some insight into why they're doing it, and also how it fits into the bigger picture, which is pretty key, I think. And then just remember that links back to the diagram. Okay, so below that, we're looking at outputs. This is just capturing very high outputs from the procedure. In this case, we're looking at obviously matching out the bank transactions from the prior day, making sure the bank account reconciles with property tree, and communicating anything that's out of the ordinary, such as held funds or unknowns, back to the client. Then I guess we can move on to the procedure itself. So the structure, you'll see that's in chronological order. And you really, I mean, I think it's key here to try and include a variety of things in there. So use diagrams, use videos, keep it interesting. And then on the left-hand side, you've got a table of contents. This just helps the user find things quickly, and most knowledge bases are obviously searchable as well, which is great. Look, at the end of the day, I think it aims to write them in a way that steps through the tasks so that everybody, even with limited experience, can follow the instructions. It's pretty key. And with minimal oversight, hopefully execute the task successfully. So just to wrap it up, when thinking about the upfront pain, I guess, involved in creating your procedures, remember the key benefits: consistency in delivery, risk reduction, and minimize errors. Believe me, it's going to be worth it, that pain. Now that we've covered off why we need procedures and how they work for you, hand over to Drake from Renty. Drake's worked with SaaS and on-demand software, so he's the perfect person to explain and guide you through the different tools and apps to make your life and day-to-day operations that much easier. Here's Drake.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys having us on this this webinar. Before this started, we were just kind of snickering because this is about managing your time better and using your time more effectively. And we didn't use our time effectively, and we're holed up in somebody's office today. Yeah, we're here to talk about using your time more effectively, shaping your processes, and always looking how you can streamline your business. Now, I know Will's going to jump in after I'm done here rambling, and he's got some really cool stuff. But I want to talk about streamlining your operations and adding systems, and why that can be scary. But it's really important to continually iterate on your systems. We were faced with a tenant database of about 300,000 tenants, and doing support for that many people on anything is really quite the task. And one of the systems that we use on a day-to-day basis to keep on top of that is Intercom. And I was actually put onto this system by Jack, who used to work at Tappy, now works at Verum, a good friend of mine and an incredible systems guy. You guys should try and get him on, as he's a fantastic person to talk to about systems and streamlining. Intercom receives the tickets from our tenants, our property managers, and some private owners, and we're able to triage those as they come in. Lots of the time, the chatbot will actually answer the query for us, but loads of time we're actually chatting with them, and our team can actually have multiple chats open at once. It's a really incredible tool, and if you've got a lot of different tenants coming in with different questions, it is a fantastic tool to deal with those en masse all at once. So that's one that I really want to suggest. I think another really great tool out there that I think has been slept on a little bit is Tether and the Tether Tick app. Tether's a company in Auckland that does sort of building health, would you say? Commercial building health.
Yeah, healthy homes compliance for rental properties.
Right. Well, but that's what the app does. But the overall company does.
Yeah.
They
environment, healthy living.
Yeah. So they've created this amazing what looks like a smoke detector, but measures all of the metrics of a healthy building: oxygen level, CO2 level. Brandon, the CEO there, would do a much better job of describing it than I am. But they created this Healthy Homes app, which you can actually create a Healthy Homes certificate yourself as a property manager. Now, I know the idea of getting property managers, giving property managers another task on top of a very time-poor industry is not super popular, but the app is fantastic, and it seamlessly integrates with Palace. So all of that information is filled into the Palace Healthy Homes fields. And it's a really, really good way to get that done. And I mean, if you've only got a couple to do, one a day, it's fantastic. So yeah, so continue to iterate, continue to look outside the normal box of property management, prop tech ideas, and really look at what you're doing and how you're doing it. Because there's always improvements that you can make there. I know I can see your notes. Do you want to talk about the first thing that you did when you came to Renty? The first system that you implemented that we didn't have?
Delft.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I did. I introduced Delft, and some of you guys will know what that is. It's a data system that extracts information out of Palace. It extracts information out of Renty, and it just gives you heaps of information to make data-driven decisions, which I'm really big on. Rule out the unknowns, that sort of stuff. But you know, the questions that I was going to cover as well, how property managers can embrace their data for success. I'm a big believer in data. It's all there. You just aggregate it, pull it together. But we're having lots of conversations with people around the country at the moment about, you know, reducing prices just by a little bit, and boom, it takes off, you know, by $15, $25. And we see all of this. We see the amount of applications by rental band. We see the credit scores by rental band, which is fascinating. But, you know, you can drop the rent by $25 per week, and that could mean that $550, the average application per property is $7, $575, it's $3. You guys all know your relative markets around New Zealand, what is a popular price, but it's fascinating when you see that, because you can just go, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, look, this is the band that we need to be in. And this is where we're getting most of the applications, and it's a bit counterintuitive. You'd think the higher rent would attract a higher caliber of property applicant. Sorry, it's not necessarily the case. So Delft was a really, really good tool that I used in my previous roles as general manager of property brokers, in a similar tool at Barfoot and Thompson, but within Renty, it's been awesome. And you know, there are other Velocity, they're doing really good stuff. I'm quite excited about this whole revolution of data within our industry, because as Drake said before, we have a database of 300,000 tenants, where it's a gold mine. My God, you know, the insights into behavior and what people are looking for and trends, and oh man, you start going down the rabbit hole and you spend some quality time down there, trust me.
And it all just makes the industry better. All of those nuggets are there to improve. I know when you introduced Delft, it improved our business massively. In just understanding, you know, response times and connection conversion and all of those kinds of things is really important as a business to really understand the inner workings. And I know before we started, we really didn't understand the inner workings of Renty.
Yeah, well, there you go. And I think everyone in their business, you know, could probably put their hand up and say, we could know a little bit more about what we're doing, and we were no different. But something else I wanted to cover was why are some particular tools changing the way we do business? And I've got 3 questions for people online today. Has technology improved your business? I mean, we were chatting with a client today. I remember walking down to the bank with a sack of cash, you know, and between those days and now, ask yourself the question, has all this technology improved your business? Ask yourself another question, how many bits of software does it take you to manage a property right now? When I was a general manager of property brokers recently, there was 9, and they're not cheap. And is that a good thing? And another question I kept asking myself was, why is the average size portfolio reducing? Is technology not supposed to make things easier? And the great questions to ask yourself, and I think that's something that we've got to constantly ask ourselves within this industry, is going, is this the right thing? Is it going to be solving a problem? Training new people, the staff turnover within this industry is high for lots of different reasons. Training new people on 9 different systems, it's hard work. but you know, I was talking to a guy in Auckland the other day, fascinating conversation, and he uses an inspection manager, and all their routine inspections now are done by the tenants. And I know personally have a sort of I think 60% of the working week for a property manager is doing inspections, give or take. And you know, provincial New Zealand, you've got driving time going out into the wop-wops, that sort of stuff. That is, I was like, wow, how do you do that? Admittedly, he had managed a lot of properties. I think he might even be online today, but I mean, that's revolutionary. I mean, my God, you know, when you're asking those three questions that I posed to you before, has this made life easier? Is my portfolio size going up or down? Taking out that, but having the robust processes around that to make sure that, you know, it is actually getting done. It is actually getting done when it needs to be done to meet insurance requirements. Wow, what a game changer.
Yeah, and making sure it's done properly as well. No spots are specifically missed.
Yeah, focusing on the good stuff and missing the bad stuff. Totally get it. I think the end-to-end journey is a big part. And when Renty, we were really focused on, we don't want to be the CRM, money in, money out. That's a specialist tool. That's not us. But that end-to-end journey from capturing inquiries, booking in tenants, viewings, applying, applications, vetting, building the tenancy agreement, and then through API, pushing all that information to the CRM. That's the power of technology, because across that journey I just described, typically an agency would use at least 2 bits of software. There's no need for that now. That whole journey should be one piece. I think that journey is 1 bit of software. That's where you can really, really get the benefit of this technology now, and you're still specializing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, part of removing one piece of technology is adding visibility into the overall system, right? Being able to see, you know, a tenant inquiry come in, and then that turn into a viewing that's booked, which then, you know, you're taking notes on that tenant at the viewing, maybe really, you know, vibes with them, they're a good tenant, or you think they're going to be. You can actually see all of that information on the application when that comes through as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we're in this really interesting space where AI and all that sort of stuff is now coming into, I guess, the realm of many different industries. And I'm reading a fascinating book by Ginny, who was the CEO of IBM for many years, and listening or reading what she is talking about. But what I'm quite interested in is things like ChatGPT. I mean, they've now released their API, which means that they can ingest things like the Residential Tenancies Act. They can ingest the Companies Act 1993. They can ingest the Privacy Act. And by that, I mean, when you start ingesting it, you can say, you can ask it questions, all that sort of stuff. And boom, all of a sudden, everyone in your business knows everything about all this different legislation. Wow. I mean, this is really interesting stuff. And I'm super excited about it. I mean, I think AI is scary to a degree, but I think it doesn't replace humans making decisions. It helps us to make decisions. And I think it's an interesting time. I really, really am fascinated to see where we go with that, for sure. I mean, you can even ingest tribunal orders. I mean, that's public information.
All of them.
All of them. You know, so all of a sudden you said, what's the average? You can look by adjudicator and say, on the last 100 tribunal orders that adjudicator has done, what percentage has been in favour of tenants and what percentage has been in favour of the landlords?
Just type a little paragraph about exactly what's going on, and am I going to win with this adjudicator? And
yeah.
Spit it out, yes or no.
I know, and then be sick if it's the wrong adjudicator. Whatever. And are these tools right for your business? I mean, Renty was built by property managers for property managers, and there's a key there. And as you guys will know within your business, when you're using technology and software over and over again, the end-to-end process, you know it way better than us or designers of it, because you just use it constantly. And so I think that's a really big thing to ask is, who was the software built by? You know, how engaged are they with the agency? I've said to the team, I do not want to be a faceless software business. I mean, we're sitting in Christchurch in someone's random office at the moment because we're here talking to people to make sure that we get it right. And I think that's really, really important when you're choosing who you decide to work with, because engaged with the industry, understanding the industry is absolutely critical. And the source of truth, Manage Me, I have to say, had blown Drake and I away. They are literally the most organized people I think I've ever worked with. So everything that Mike and Tatiana just talked about is 100% true. I've worked with Tatiana in the past where I asked for absentee landlord lists, just as she described, with information that she can get. We got really, really good list of absentee landlords across different regions when I was GM at Property Brokers. Gave that to my BDMs and it was just a gold mine. So I have personal experience with that. And also we're getting a lot of people where they need help with getting information out of what are the tools they're using to populate into another tool. And housekeeping sucks. I know that, trying to keep on top of all your data in the right areas and have consistency across your business is really hard. What Management Me do is absolutely fantastic. They can dive into your business. They know all the systems. They can get all your healthy homes in the right fields, in Palace, done and dusted. It's a fantastic service. I wish I knew about it more when I was more involved in the industry. So it's very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, that's nice.
Now, on that note, we will send out the recording to everybody so you can have a refresher and a recap. We'll also be sending out a meeting link. So you're welcome to jump on there and find a time that suits you to link up with us, whether that's with the Renty team or with us at Manage Me. And we'd love your feedback too. So when you get that email, feel free to take a moment or so and just reply to us and let us know what you enjoyed about today, what you think we could do better, and what the next topics might be that you'd like us to cover and how we can get into some more details for you guys. We hope you enjoyed this really quick session and we look forward to catching up with all of you again really soon. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Nice to see you guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.